Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel before we get started. And today we have to talk about the Democrat civil war that is taking place within the Democratic Party that is going to split it up, tear it apart, and hand the Republicans the House in 2022, no matter who ends up winning the presidential election. So anyways, guys, we're going to get started here, but first I have to tell you guys about my friends over at My Patriot Supply. No matter where you live, you're facing some real challenges right now. There's just too much unrest and uncertainty, and in some spots, it's not even safe to go to the corner store anymore, and that makes getting food a problem. And if things don't get better, will you have enough food to eat in the weeks and months ahead? Because many folks won't. But those who act now and get at least a 4-week supply of emergency food shipped to them fast will be the ones who survive. That's why I strongly recommend My Patriot Supply, the only source I personally use and trust for my emergency food preparedness plan, and you should too. They're the go-to experts in emergency preparedness, and their mission is your survival. Right now, you can save $100 off a full 4-week supply of their tasty meals that supply 2,000 calories a day. This will save your life if food disappears from the grocery store shelves again, and saving $100 is impossible to pass up. So go to preparewithredeagle.com right now. That is preparewithredeagle.com, and do it today. So the Democrats claim victory in the presidential race right now. And I've talked at length about this. I've done several videos about this. A lot of people are asking me what's going on with the recounts and the audits, and I've talked about it at length. So I kind of did want to take a break from that for a little bit to go and discuss what is happening in the Democrat Party. Look at some of the down ballot races that were very pivotal to this election, because it was not a good year by any means for the Democrats no matter what happens. The Democrats are coping because they got their asses handed to them in the House, and it was not even close. The Republicans flipped 11 seats so far, and the Democrats did not flip a single seat where there was a Republican incumbent, and they only flipped one seat that was not due to redistricting. So they had a very, very bad day down ballot. As for the Republicans, they flipped 11 seats. Every race designated as a toss-up district by the New York Times went for the Republicans, and many districts designated under the Democrats were expected to win narrowly column went for the Republicans. Republicans did not even lose a single seat in Texas. They flipped 2 seats in Florida. They flipped a lot of the flips like Utah's 4th, New Mexico's 2nd, Oklahoma's 5th, and South Carolina's 1st that they lost in the 2018 midterms. So they had a very, very good year down ballot. No matter what happens, if Republicans stay united, and if the Republicans can bring the energy in 2022, they very well could flip the House. Even if Donald Trump somehow manages to pull off a victory, the odds have him at roughly 16% right now, but there's hope, and we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. But a lot of Democrats are pointing fingers based off of their terrible results down ballot and their terrible results in places like Texas and Florida and North Carolina, which were 3 states that they hoped to pick up in this election cycle, but they were not able to do it. And one of the districts that went narrowly for the Democrats, but the Republicans almost flipped in an upset, was Abigail Spanberger, and she was very upset, saying to the House Democrats, never use the word socialist or socialism again, talking about how far left a lot of the rhetoric has gone for a lot of people on the far left, your AOCs, your Ilhan Omars, your Bernie Sanders, and they're talking about how defunding the police does not play out very well in a lot of these suburban areas, which is true. And if you look at the U.S. House results, the Republicans actually did better in the generic ballot than Donald Trump did at the top of the ticket. And even though I do believe that Donald Trump helped Republicans down ballot overall, still in certain places where there was a lot of ticket splitting, it did kind of seem to be the Democrats' fault. You can use Nebraska's 2nd district as an example about that there. So Abigail Spanberger was going off. She was very angry. AOC was fighting back at a lot of the more moderate Democrats, and on Twitter, AOC decided to somehow think that she was doing something when she tweeted this very immature tweet of her attacking Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin simply said he's not going to defund the police, and he's a proud West Virginia Democrat. He said that he wants to care about working class Americans. He said in his tweet that he wants to defend their jobs. He wants to defend their health care. He says that the Democrats do not have some sort of crazy agenda, and they don't believe in defunding the police. Now, Joe Manchin is kind of a dinosaur, even in the Democrat caucus. Joe Manchin is a very moderate Democrat. He is anti-abortion even, and he is pro-coal, but at the same time, he's not really on the Republican side either. When push comes to shove, he will vote for things like the impeachment. He voted against Amy Coney Barrett as well. So AOC decided to be the emotional child she is and tweet this picture where Joe Manchin was clapping at President Trump's State of the Union while AOC was looking in disapproval at whatever the president was saying. And it is very symbolic because AOC does represent the far left here. Joe Manchin is kind of a moderate Democrat. In fact, he's more moderate for most so-called moderate Democrats, and he's saying that he wants to care about protecting working people, care about protecting their health care, and at the same time, she is sitting there and sneering at that metaphorically, and it proves that AOC does not care about working people. She hates the working class. She hates the white working class in particular. In fact, she does not even consider white men to be people, apparently. When she was pressed on the fact that she had a very low approval rating overall, she said that it doesn't matter because she's not underwater with women, and she's not underwater with minorities, and that she's not underwater with young people. So she's saying that white men do not matter when it comes to her approval rating. She doesn't care. That is a very inflammatory statement, and if the roles were reversed, that would be an ultimate disaster for whatever Republican said that. I remember back in the 1990s when David Duke ran for governor, the former Klan leader, he said that because he won 51% of the white vote, that he won the election. That's basically what AOC is doing here, except she's saying instead of white people that matter for her, it's minorities that matter for her, an ultimate disaster. And the infighting is only going to get worse because Democrats are going to be blaming the far left for this, and the far left doesn't care. They are going to stick to their agenda. But Biden and his administration seems to be caving in more to the corporate Democrat, the globalist Democrats here. And in fact, Biden nabbed New Orleans area Representative Cedric Richmond to join him in his cabinet to be a senior advisor. He has ties to oil and natural gas companies. Climate activists are upset about this. And it goes to show this is what you will see in an impending Biden administration. You are going to see the left tear itself apart because you look at the coalition that was behind Biden. It was not behind Biden because they supported much of what Biden had to say. It wasn't behind Biden because they supported the man Joe Biden. It was mainly behind Biden so they could use him as a vessel to get rid of Trump. You had neoconservatives, you had the corporate globalist Democrats behind him, and you also had the far-left Marxist Democrats like AOC and Ilhan Omar supporting him, all as a vessel to get rid of Trump for one reason or another here. And now that Trump is out of the equation, potentially, he hasn't lost yet. I'm not conceding. Don't take this as a concession because I'm not conceding here. I'm saying that in a potential Biden administration, there will be a lot of infighting going on, so much so that Biden hasn't even technically won yet, and we're already seeing the extreme levels of infighting here. And there was a good thread on Twitter here written by our good friend Gabe Guidarini. He's been on the show a few times. He has a good Twitter account. I'd recommend you follow him. And he was saying that if he wins, Joe Biden will likely be one of the least popular presidents in recent history, probably more so than Donald Trump, because the coalition that got Biden this far is extremely loose. And the common enemy was Trump. That was what united the Biden administration. When Donald Trump is not a factor anymore, there's no glue to hold him together, and you will see people start to fight for who gets to lead the administration. The progressives are going to break off. The moderate Republicans, the neocons, some of them may end up breaking off as well. And that is going to lead Biden with his only base, which is the core group of the center-left, corporate, globalist Democrats that support him. And again, no matter what happens, whatever policy that he enacts in office, he's going to lose support, this is much different than what happened for Trump, because Trump did not have an approval rating in the 50s, but at the same time, he had a very, very unified base behind him. And that base carried him to essential re-election here in 2020. He got 11 million more votes this time than what he got last time. And you look at Joe Biden, whatever policy that Joe Biden enacts, it is going to hurt him one way or another. But the real question is, if Biden does become president, will he even get to enact a policy? Because the Democrat Party is so divided at this point, to the point where if you try to pass a health care bill, a lot of people like AOC are not necessarily going to vote for it. If you pass a bill on the climate, you may see a lot of the far left defect from that. And either way, it's going to be very difficult if Biden does win to get anything done, at least in the legislature. That does not mean that Biden cannot get any policies done through executive order, which could be disastrous, especially if he does push for things like amnesty. But if you talk about what he can do through Congress, not so much, because Mitch McConnell will control the Senate. He's probably going to end up with 52 seats in the Senate to boot, and the House is so divided, and the Democrats' majority is the most narrow majority since World War II, to the point where it's unlikely that they're going to be able to get anything done. Republicans are going to end up with around 212, 213 seats when it's all said and done. Democrats are going to end up with around 224 seats or so, and it's going to be interesting to watch, but either way, the election is still not over yet. Donald Trump can still win. I'm not conceding. I'm never conceding. Biden will never be a legitimate president in my view. But from the looks of it, if Biden does win and become president, it's going to be interesting to watch the divide. And don't get me wrong, the right is fighting their own civil war too. However, a lot more people on the right are united behind overthrowing the Republican establishment, so it should be an easier fight. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, become a member, donate to the Patreon, or subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.